I'm Matt Reynolds, and this is my podcast.
I can do the job, but running the business is quite difficult. What a lot of tradesmen lack, and I was probably one of them, is business skills.
I don't mind making mistakes. You learn from your mistakes.
Information is all around you in the minds of people that work beside you.
Welcome to Trench Talk. I'm Matt Reynolds and I'm a plumber. The idea of this podcast is to go into the trenches and talk, not with people who are orchestrating from up high, but to those high performers who are actually in the trenches honing their craft. That has included guests from the worlds of business, sport and entertainment, all of whom are on the front lines doing amazing things. For this episode, I sat down with Walt Collins, who in just 2 years has stamped his name into the TV landscape as a busy host who is on air 43 weekends of the year. He's also a career-long producer, and his company, BSTV, produces many of the TV shows he hosts, which include Healthy Homes Australia and Animal Extra, both seen on Network 10. Walt has also just announced that he's producing and co-hosting a new series for the 7 network called Stay at Home Mum, based on the blog of Jody Allen. From England, his career began at 14 years old. Having begged his mum for a video camera, it wasn't long until the inquisitive and tech-savvy Walt worked out that by boosting a small transmitter, connecting it to a wok and positioning it over the neighbourhood, that he was able to broadcast a TV signal from his bedroom. His very own pirate TV station was born. We discussed the early years, including the day he was caught broadcasting illegally, the carpentry apprenticeship he is currently completing, producing TV shows and selling them to big networks, inspiring others, and the life events that changed the way he now looks at his own goals. You can find Walt on Instagram and at his website, waltcollins.com.au. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the subscribe button in your chosen podcast player to get all future episodes of Trench Talk. Enjoy my chat with Walt Collins. Walt Collins, thanks for doing this.
No problems.
Now, you've been running a little late this morning. You've been caught out on a building site.
Yeah, the funny thing is I've spent most of my life dissing tradies because they've been late to everything that I've organised, and then now I am one. I'm running late this morning. Yeah, so learning firsthand really, builders, trades, waiting for deliveries, all that kind of stuff. Just never goes to plan.
It doesn't, does it? You can't script it because, building a house, I think I've said before, is building a house, but building house A is not like building house B, is it? So there's always something that you come across.
Do you know one thing I've learned is that as much as it's a big team effort to build something, just sometimes feels like everyone's working against each other. It's like the plumbers are working against the sparkies, and the sparkies are, ruining the frames that we've built, and it's just never ending. It's hilarious.
And have you got any suggestions for how you improve that a little bit? Because I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think just a bit of communication. I coming from like a TV background, moving into a trade, because normally it's the other way around. Tradies move into TV if they're lucky,
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm lucky because I'm going the other way around. But I just think communication is key. Like, people don't listen. You'll tell someone something, they go, yep. And then they'll just absolutely do nothing which you've asked of them. So I think the one thing I've learned is just listen to each other and actually be present and absorb what they're telling you, because they're telling you something for a reason.
Is that much more important in the industry that you come from, TV?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it is. I think so because, I guess as with trade, there's a lot of money riding on the end product, and you've got like a TV network that's breathing down your neck, wanting a good quality show. You've got your producers, you've got your sponsors, you've got your presenters who want to make sure they look good. So if you're not communicating your vision for something, like the overall master plan, then people don't know why they're doing something. And if you just tell someone to do something, they do it, and they don't know why they're doing it, it can cause problems because their heart's not in it,
So you've got to sell, your job really is to sell the end product up front. That'd be fair to say?
Yeah. So the way something like our show works is that Network 10 don't give us any money for Healthy Homes Australia, for example.
Okay.
We get no money from the network. In fact, we have to pay a license fee to the network for the privilege of broadcasting it, yet they still want to know who's on it, who the presenters are, and they control it because it's their brand, it's their network, so rightly so. So we have to raise the money to pay for everything, absolutely everything, and make a buck through brand integration. So for something like Healthy Homes Australia, when we build a brand new house on the show, we're relying on people like CSR, to put Gyprock through there, or Godfrey Hirst Carpets, or whatever it might be, and they pay a fee to be associated with it, and they get to keep a great clip at the end. But if you do it well enough, they get their money back 10 times.
let's go a bit broader on what you actually do, because you're a presenter, but you also run a production company as well. So for someone who doesn't know about you, and you're on TV an awful lot these days, so it'd be unlikely that someone doesn't. But if they didn't, how do you explain to someone who doesn't know exactly what you do?
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, I'm a presenter, but I'm an executive producer as well. So I'm a big believer in, if you want to do something and you want to have a dream, whatever it might be, you've got to make that happen. So you've got to create your own work as well. Nothing's going to be handed to you these days. So I started a production company about 8 years ago. I've always worked in TV, but yeah, we have a production company now which produces just lifestyle series for 7 and 10, and potentially Channel 9, but also content for around the world as well. So, you know, we'll go and shoot stuff for the BBC, or I did a live cross for a Stephen Fry show over in the UK from Sydney, things like that. So I'm pretty much just whoring myself around the media world, you know, just trying to get work for the team.
So is your focus on the production side of it? Because I think you read that you prefer production over presenting. Is that right? Or
I sort of fell into presenting by default,
right,
when I was a kid, which I'm sure we'll get into. But now, I literally, how Healthy Homes came about is I saw a gap in the market. So Healthy Homes Australia is our flagship weekend lifestyle series, right? Network 10, Saturday afternoon. Like a staggering 250,000 viewers tune in every Saturday. That's massive when you consider the block only gets 900 or 1 million on, and they're in prime time.
Wow, I didn't know that.
No, so we're, you know, probably a little bit more on a good day, but sometimes, you know, it's around that figure for a prime time show. And we pull in 250,000 on a Saturday afternoon. So we've forged a real niche. It's home, garden, lifestyle construction. So whether the latest security cameras for your house you can put in yourself, or whether it's, you know, we're building a brand new house and showing you all the new methods you should be asking your builder for. Whatever it is, you know, we operate in that space. That's a little winner. Okay. We identified a gap in the market about 3 or 4 years ago because there wasn't one. There was either massive renovation shows, or there was, you know, better homes and gardens, which is great, but not all of us want to, you know, spray paint pasta shells and put them on mirror frames. We want to go and buy something cool. So we kind of tell you where to go and get it. So we're a bit more realistic, a little bit more kick back. We're not smiling all the time and giggling. It's just a real cool show with young people having a crack at making a house into a home.
So, and the gap you saw in the market, you're talking in terms of the time slot and in terms of how your show is put together, sitting between, well, I suppose it sits between Better Homes and Gardens. Well,
initially, it was a commercial decision. So how do we make money from this? Because that's what we do it for.
Oh,
you know,
let's talk about that.
I realised that, you know, there's to get on one of the primetime shows, you're talking, you know, a lot of money for a brand. So someone like, you know, I don't know, I'll just use a random example. I don't know, maybe a small tool company who doesn't have, you know, a $60,000 budget to go on a TV show. We identified a gap in the market to do a mid-range TV show that wasn't a shopping channel, wasn't a primetime show, but somewhere sat in the middle that people could invest in and get a return. So that's how we saw the gap in the market. And we did a pilot series I hosted with another girl, not Danny, my co-host. And that went on TV for me, which was Channel 74, like a shopping channel on Network 7. Did 4 episodes, and I hosted it with her, and it was good, and we got great results. I pitched it to Network 10 because I thought we had the feedback we had was just, this needs to go on prime time on commercial network, and I'm like, yeah, mate, whatever, you know, you're just pissing in my pocket sort of thing. And it was like, no, it's really good. Like it's a whole new way of watching TV.
And who told you that?
My peers so TV people, you know, celebs I know, all that kind of stuff. Were just like, I'd work with reliable sources, you know. So we pitched Network 10, heard nothing for a year. Wouldn't even answer my email, you know, wouldn't return calls, no emails, and I packed up shop, gave up the whole TV thing, and I got offered a job in America, working to produce a TV show in America, and I was going to move. And got my Dogger passport, closed up my office, and then I'd handed in my keys on Monday, and on Tuesday to the office, Tuesday at 1 o'clock, Network 10 rang me. So that show that you sent us, that Healthy Homes Australia, that's something we'd like to see on our network. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah, 13 episodes on air in 8 weeks, mate. Can you do it? Wow. And I'm just like, of course I can do it. You know, I just bit my tongue. I'm like, so the first series of Healthy Homes was made and edited from a lounge room in Richmond,
Oh wow! And on what? All like home computer stuff? Or...
No, it was proper pro gear that I had from my production company before. But it was all in the garage. I was going to ship it to America, so I had to unpack it and set it up in my kitchen on my kitchen bench.
So 8 weeks.
Yeah, we did it. We got.
How did you do it?
Oh God, blood, sweat.
I mean, I
and
know that's a
tears.
long story, but maybe from the economical point of view, how did you go about putting it together?
Well, working in TV all my life, putting it together wasn't the hard thing.
Right.
The hard thing was getting the brands to come on board quickly.
Okay.
So getting them to give us their money and their trust in a series they'd never heard of. By the way, by this time, Danny was on from the 2 times block contestant,
Yes.
part of Dan and
Yep.
Danny. So she was an amazing addition to it. Like she brought a whole new everything to the show.
Yep.
And we just did it. And there was a stage there where we were shooting. We were so behind. We were shooting on a Friday, the episode.
Right.
Editing Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
Getting approvals Monday and sending that. I was flying to Sydney with the hard drive on Wednesday for it to go on air on Saturday. It was like a week behind.
Oh, wow.
And that's naughty in TV terms because no one gets to really make any changes.
So, yeah, it's a high-risk scenario, right? I mean, and you delivered every time.
Every time, yeah.
And is that something that you now work? You're an established show now. How far in advance do you work?
Yeah, well, Series 5. So we've been described as Network 10's long-standing lifestyle series, which is pretty amazing considering the first one was butchered from my lounge room.
But on a week-to-week basis, how far are you ahead in your shooting to when it goes to air?
Well, we've fine-tuned it a little bit now. Obviously, we have an office, we have an edit suite, and we have staff, and we have 10 or 12 crew that will work with us on that day. And we're a couple of months ahead now, mostly. But some stories want to be shot really close, so we'll still end up shooting a couple of weeks before broadcast. Yeah, so there's no rest, mate. That's it.
And is there an element of having to keep things under wraps, secret, anything like that? Are you in that space or not really?
A little bit. Yeah, there is a little bit. So if we do a bit of a bathroom reno or a room makeover or we're building a house, we don't want people putting photos of the finished result on social media and things like that. It didn't matter at first, but now, we've got a following. People do like to spoil it. But look, man, at the end of the day, we're a Saturday afternoon show. It's not world peace, we're not, it's television, it's entertainment. It doesn't really matter. It's not a big deal.
Can you describe on a day-to-day basis what a typical week for you would look like? And the reason I ask is because this meeting came out of an Instagram interaction, which has been a bit of a theme of this podcast, actually. But the more that I looked into what you do, the more that I find. And you're on TV, I think it was 43 weekends
out of the 52.
Out of the 52 in 2006, and it's going up this year. So what does a typical week look like? How do you fit it all in?
The one thing I'm grateful for is that each week is different. So every week is absolutely different. And that's kind of what keeps me sane. So it's like, for example, Monday will generally always be about planning the week ahead, seeing where we're at with sales, touching base with crew to check their availability, and then planning, writing scripts and doing as little as possible on my behalf, because Mondays are never great. And then Tuesdays will be about stepping up to locking down script writing, making sure everything's all good. We'll probably work our way up then to shoot on a Thursday. And then Friday and sometimes Thursday I leave in my schedule to be building houses and learning this trade, which I'm doing as well.
So you started an apprenticeship on the side?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, 3/4 of the way through it.
Okay, how's it going?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so the apprenticeship came about because on Healthy Homes Australia, I didn't really know what tools were what. Came from mum, just mum and I. Dad was around, but they broke up, so I never really had a kind of active dad role every day to show me how to build stuff. My dad's good with animals. That's what he does. So anything I've learned from animals, I've learned from him. He's amazing with animals. And he's definitely not a builder. And so, I just never had that influence in my life. And hosting a TV show about walking around talking about decks and, composite woods and things to make decks, like future wood or whatever. I just didn't feel conviction with what I was saying. I'm a big believer in what you see is what you get with me, and I want to be believable and genuine. I don't change when I go on TV as I am every day, really. Except sometimes I have to wear makeup on TV. It's not every day. But, and so I just wanted to learn about it. And then we started building a house in Sydney for Healthy Homes with a major builder. Because my idea was to show what happens behind the scenes with a major build. So when the public are saying, oh, no, I want to change my lounge room, please, or put the sink over there, they don't realise what a knock-on effect that has down the line, and why tradies get grumpy, and why people say you've got no idea what you're talking about, when you're asking for that. So I wanted to educate our audience about that. So we built the first house, and I became like an honorary apprenticeship because I was knee deep in concrete trying to learn how to screed. I did some framing, I did some rough-ins with some sparky stuff. I cut some PVC pipes with plumbers. I did some roof tiles on. We started getting emails from people saying, I loved watching you on that house build. I'm just to let you know, I'm taking a mature age apprenticeship up, and I'm just changing my life, and I'm going to do it. I couldn't believe we were getting these messages from people saying, thanks, man, that was so inspirational. If you can do it, I think I can do it. And so we contacted a trades college, and we contacted the next builder, which was GJ Gardner, great builder, and we put together a series of 8 stories on the show where we followed the build of a house from start to finish. But at the same time, I kickstarted a Cert 3 in building construction carpentry. And it was trade school, so it's a fast track course. So it's not trade school 1 day a month, it's 2 days a week. So Friday and Saturday. Right, this is on top of everything else I've got going on as well, studying and intense study. And so I'm with Trades College Australia, and they're really strict about making sure the modules are spot on and everything's verified, because they do fast track it and they get audited. So they can't just tick things off if you can't do them. You've got to prove evidence. So it's really intense. But anyway, I've got about 8 months to go, and I'll be, I know it's qualified carpenter, it's not licensed trade, but I'll have a Cert 3. I'll probably go and do Cert 4, and I want to go get a builder's license.
So how do you squeeze in the practical on-site component? Because you're at trade school Thursday and
Friday night and all day Saturday.
Okay, yeah. Friday, Saturday. So how do you squeeze in the practical part of that as well, being on site? I assume you have to do...
You have to do heaps on site, and, because you can learn whatever you want to learn with a whiteboard, but there's a workshop in there, so you build a house inside a workshop. Yeah. But, in terms of getting a realistic look about what actually really happens in a construction environment, you only learn that by being yelled at, dodging bullets, being on a building site, learning the personalities, the hierarchy, all that kind of stuff. They don't teach you at trade school. Any tradesman listening to this will go, yep, what I did at school is completely different to what I did on the site. Yeah, but it's just about time management, mate. I think as a good tradesman, as a good businessman, you've got to have technology on your side. You've got to have a good digital calendar that sends you reminders. Be there in 2 hours so you don't forget meetings. You arrive on time. You're accountable. Your hours are accountable. So I just made it work. So my whole life, mate, has been about fighting for something I want. Nothing's been handed easily to me. I've always had to work hard for it or fight for it. And we never had any money as growing up. We were poor. We were really poor, really poor. So I've always had to work hard. I've never, for everything I've got. And it was just part of life. Doing a trade, why not? Chuck it in there on top of everything else.
And then you said you wanted to get a building license. So is that to build your own stuff eventually? Is that the idea down the track?
I think, long term, I'd love to be able to flip my own houses. Like buy houses, make them look pretty, film them, and flip it. I mean, God, there's a million TV stations around the world play all that rubbish every day. So if I can create some rubbish like that as well and make some money out of it, But it's just good. It's just good skills to have. And you know what's been really interesting about this?
What's that?
Being at the bottom of the pile of a construction site. The boys I work with, so I work with Kineva Building, who are a great set of builders in Melbourne, and also Frameworks Carpentry. And those guys, they don't take any bull dust from me in terms of the TV world. They give me
Can't
shit.
play that card.
They go, the makeup van's here. Walt gets catering. Or the other day it was 2 degrees, and I made Dave the builder go and buy a jet heater for this warehouse we're working in. All the boys are like, well, we didn't get that all week. So there's a bit of fun, but it's about being bottom of the pile and respecting the trade, respecting the tools, and not, in my game, TV, I'm not bottom of the pile. It's my business. So to be humbled and sent back to the bottom and being yelled at and told to cut 20 pieces at whatever it might be, it's kind of cool, mate. I like it. And again, listening is key.
And those companies that you just mentioned, are they part of the show as well?
Yeah, I've integrated them into the show.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I have. So you got Dave, a big ugly builder, all of a sudden he's finding himself on TV, all that kind of stuff. So he's teaching me his trade, and I'm teaching him a little bit about his.
And how does it work? It's a good team?
It's a really great team. Yeah, this is something I've not had in my life before, is working with a group of blokes on a common goal like that, in a high pressure environment, because construction is high pressure these days. You don't have time to fluff around, because it's costing your boss money, and the boss has already done it as cheap as he can because there's not as much money around these days, So you've got to do your bit for the common goal, which is whatever you're building. So, but I love it. I love the banter on site. I love the camaraderie. I love framing houses. It's amazing because within a couple of hours, you can start to see the space you're walking through,
It's a common misconception, isn't it, that for people out of the building industry, they see the frame goes up and it's like, oh, we're nearly there. Like, it's just a day or two's work.
Yeah.
The hard work is once it's all locked up. Now, that's your flagship product, but you also produce a number of other TV shows as well. Do you want to run through those? Because it's a bit diverse, isn't it, what you do, really?
A real mixed bag of nuts. Yeah, absolutely. So I've got another show, probably second in line is a series called Animal Extra, which is on Network 10 Sunday mornings, and it's like a lifestyle series about living with and loving animals, and it's co-hosted by my dog Nugget, who's a beagle, and myself. And so we go to, a homeowner who's got animals, and we meet their animals. We spend the day with them, and we identify little things which they could do. We'll do a rota to see what's been advertised inside a dog food is actually what is inside the dog food, for example. Recognise behaviour problems, check out the latest innovations in the pet world. And we did series 1, and that's been repeated 6 times now.
Oh, wow.
In like 18 months. That was a real winner for us. It was a real commercial risk because there's not a lot of money in pet world as much as people think there is. Yeah. There's just lots of little operators who don't have, 11 grand to spend on a TV segment. So, Animal Extra has been a real winner, but we've got a new series coming out by the end of the year.
And that'll be series 2.
Series 2, yeah. Okay. And
then
we've got doing a show which comes out on Channel 7 later this year called Stay at Home Mum. Now, I am hosting this with Australia's biggest parent blogger. She's called Jody Allen. She runs stayatHomeMum.com. There are 500,000 Facebook followers, 5 million website hits a month. Amazing lady, a daggy Queensland mum that's got 2 kids. I think one of them's on the autism spectrum, and she's just battled with parenthood. It's been not easy for her. So she wrote this blog. She's really honest. All of a sudden, she's like a super mum. Doing TV, radio. She's just incredible.
And how did you connect with her?
Through Healthy Homes. So we brought her in as a guest on the show, and we just connected really well. And again, I saw a commercial opportunity for a realistic show about parenting that does not have a stick figure of a mum that had a baby 6 weeks ago and has her abs back, and looking really pretty. This is about real parenting. I'm not a parent. I don't like kids. I don't know what to do with kids. I don't understand kids. I don't understand why people have kids. So for me, it's going to be asking the questions the first time dads will probably want to ask, and I'm not afraid to ask them. The other thing is too, mate, I might get into trouble for saying this, but on our show, everyone understands that, for example, if someone loses a baby or there's a miscarriage, everybody gets the absolute trauma and devastation that causes for the woman. And that's not undermining that at all, because it's horrific. Yep. Not many people stop and ask the father, the bloke, mate, how are you feeling? Because you helped make that baby. It's your child too. Yep. So we're going to do that. We're going to stop and ask the bloke that and get a bit of a bloke talk thing happening, and trying to get blokes to talk a little bit more about, your feelings and your emotions. I know people roll their eyes with lots of stuff, but it's 2017. If you can't talk about something that's hurt you, if you're a man, there's something wrong with you. You've got to be able to talk about this sort of stuff.
And is that element of the show, has that come from a personal experience that you've seen?
Not really, no. I think it's just, I just think it's balancing out the spectrum a little bit. A lot of parenting, rightly so, but a lot of parenting focuses around the woman. And, I know the traditional model is a man goes to work and all that kind of stuff, and he plays with the kids when they're all clean and fluffy at the end of the day. But the reality is it's not like that.
No, it's not. I have twins myself.
Yeah,
it's not like that.
You know what it's like? You're covered in, poo or wee or vomit, and you've got to try and have a life. You've got to try and run a business. You've got to try and support your wife. She's got to try and support you. So we just delve into that and have a realistic look at parenting and some little tricks you can do to make things better, and what to expect if you're first time one. So that's kind of what we're going to do.
You seem to be pretty good at spotting commercial opportunities that are maybe not radically different, but just slightly different to what's available.
I think I've always had an inbuilt knack at kind of trying to have a look at things from a realistic point of view, because I see Australian television been born in the UK, lived here, moved here as a teenager. I see Australian television as not so much now, but it has been a real spoon-feeding, patronising pile of rubbish where you've got someone going, well, on today's show, we're going to be showing you how to cook a chicken. You know, for God's sake, people don't want to hear this rubbish anymore. This is why they're streaming stuff. This is what people are real. There seems to be this thing on TV where you have to be like a certain thing if you're going to be a son or a daughter of a network. You know, it's about people want you to be the pretty or conservative or fit in this mold. I'm not like that. I'm completely different. I'm just a normal bloke happens to find himself on television doing things my way. And I think there's a real connection and a thing that resonates with our audiences because they watch us and go, you know what, they're not up themselves. They're actually poking fun at themselves rather than being nasty to someone else. And they're actually saying stuff that, like, we get people say, I feel like you're talking to me. I feel like you're talking to me when you were talking about that bloody garden hose. I wouldn't bought it because I thought that's my scenario. So if we can do that, it's not for everyone, but if we can do that, then that's the commercial opportunity for me. It's about down-to-earth presentation of facts, ultimately to make money for the brand and to make money for us.
The art of keeping it real.
100%, mate. And, you know, that's the hardest thing to do is look genuine and believable on television when you've got 250,000 people waiting for you to make a mistake or put weight on or whatever it might be, you know.
Do you notice a difference within yourself being a normal guy getting around doing whatever you do and then stepping in front of the camera?
It's hard because I've done it all my life. That's what I've done. So a camera doesn't intimidate me. So the lights don't intimidate me. That whole environment doesn't give me nerves. Walking onto a building site with 12 guys looking at you saying, what are you doing here? Who are you? What can you do? And you know, that's so intimidating. It was for me, like walking to that environment. It's like an apprentice on the first day. You walk in and you shit yourself. It's like, what am I doing? Oh my God, this is the wrong thing. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. But you learn to adapt, you know. So that's why I don't get intimidated really in that TV environment, because it's like you don't walk into a building site, you don't get intimidated, it's your job.
True. Let's talk about the beginning. You grew up in England. Your TV career started when you built your own illegal network and then they made a documentary about it.
Yeah.
Can you cover that for us? Because I think that's an important element of what's probably transpired in the years since.
It's funny, you know, it's exactly what I'm doing now. You know, if I wanted something, just make it happen, build it, you know, and it's kind of what I'm doing on a bigger scale. But yeah, Mum and I, you know, lived in a little cottage in the northern part of Sheffield, you know, like 5 houses, cottages, all bluestone on a riverbank. It was a very Enid Blyton. But I persuaded Mum to buy me this video camera because I felt like I wanted to just film stuff and create stories. I was always recording my voice on little microphones and things and telling jokes and making Mum listen to it on tape players. This is in the 90s, you know. She got me this video camera and I worked out that I could connect it to the antennas in the roof and appear on Mum's TV downstairs during the ad breaks of Coronation Street. So I'd set the camera up in my bedroom. It was like, you know, and I'd watch the TV and I'd press a button, like AV1 or whatever it was. And all of a sudden I'd appear on Mum's TV. So I'd do this like 3-minute show to Mum. And then when Coronation Street came back on, that soap opera, I'd press a button and it would be the show again. The neighbours were around one particular day and said, that's actually kind of really cool. It's really funny. Do you reckon you can do it for our TV? And I'm like, yes, I can. Because a splitter system was in my roof for the antennas from the one area point.
It's just one of those little boxes.
The coaxial. So I hacked into it and just did a little diversion to my camera. And all of a sudden I'm sending a signal to 2 houses. And I did it. And then Mum wanted in on it then when other people were watching. So she came and like would interview her and stuff. Then
in terms of a host,
you work together, co-host it. Yeah,
right, okay,
yeah, that's right. And so then I figured I got this little video sender back in the 90s in England. I don't know if it was like over here. You could buy these devices that had an antenna on it, plug it into the back of your video downstairs, and it would send a Wi-Fi signal around your house. You could tune your old analog TV into it.
Okay.
Similar to what an iPod would have in a car when they first came out, like an FM transmitter. You remember that?
They used to plug them in the bottom of there.
100%, yeah. Like that. And it didn't get very far, but we boosted the electronics inside. I don't know how I knew to operate it, but it wasn't hard. Slightly bigger power source and some more coils. And then I needed some sort of device to transmit this signal in a cone shape from my bedroom window. So I tried a couple of different things, but settled on my mum's wok. So my mum's wok then became a satellite dish beaming my signal out to what was it, almost a kilometre.
And how did you connect the cable to the wok?
So-
What was the actual mechanics of that?
So it had from the video sending transmitter.
Yeah.
So it was just run just through copper cable, speaker cable, from where you would have like a telescopic radio antenna, and then we made a curl, almost like exactly like a satellite dish, an arm that came out, and then a curl of cable which went down into the middle of the wok, stuck with tape, and all of a sudden our signal was focused and beamed. We lived across the road from a mental hospital, and we tuned all of their TVs in, and we had quite a few houses as well watching at one stage, like quite a few. And so this whole thing evolved to be a live 2-hour show every Sunday at 8 o'clock. We'd rehearse all day. Mum and I would write the scripts, and she'd do all these different characters, and I would interview her about, she'd pretend that she was a social worker from the mental hospital, or she'd pretend she was a patient. We'd go and make shows about the patients. And we didn't know what we were doing, but we were bringing the community together. Anyway, massively illegal, of course. Hugely illegal.
Because you need a broadcasting license of some
description. Just a
right?
cool, £300 million or something like that. So,
oh, wow. So
it was a
big
pirate
time.
TV station, basically. That's what it was.
Yep.
Anyway, we got found out, and I got this call one day from this lady saying, are you Walter? I'm like, yep. She's like, we know about your TV station. I'm like, that's nice. And we're going to go to jail. Anyway, they came and made a documentary about it called Walter Vision. And it was about me and my mum and the battle for this signal to get across the road, and film me recreating the wok satellite and all this kind of stuff, and me tuning all the TVs in and everything. And all of a sudden, that was it. My media career was born.
So a couple of questions. With the wok, you had this problem. You had to get it out to more people initially. Do you remember the moment where, how did you figure that out? Because it's not, did you just think of it? Did you
just
you probably didn't get online in those days?
Was it before Google? Before the internet, really. So it was just, I think I watched a science program about electromagnetic frequencies or something they have this thing called Open University on TV. So it's like during the night, there's all these shows which you record if you're studying something, and it's like reference material back in the day. Anyway, I think I was up at 6 one morning waiting for the kids' cartoons to come on, and I was only 14, and they had watched this show about how to create magnetic fields to be stronger by curling copper wire.
That's where the curl came from, yeah.
And that's where I did it, yeah. And I don't know, really, it was just in there in my head, and it just worked.
It's pretty...
I've never written a resume. I've just basically given them the tape of that. And
I was going to ask, is it available? Is it on YouTube? Have you uploaded it anywhere?
I think it is on YouTube. There's a rough cut on YouTube somewhere. I don't think I've ever got the final finished thing, but it's not something I want people watching. Really.
Oh, is that right? You want to get
because I'm just a spotty, bossy 14-year-old brat.
But there's something pretty cool about that, right? Not every 14-year-old does that. Let's face it. We tinker with certain things, but to be able to, there's a few elements here. To be able to sort of think from a community aspect, and then want to be able to produce work that you then want to take and spread throughout the community. It's not an everyday thing at that age, right? It's pretty impressive when you think about it.
Yeah, I guess so. For me, it's just my story. It's kind of how it evolved, But I think problem solving has always been something, I've kind of been good at. May not always do things the right way, but it gets done and looks okay in the end. And that's why I think when I came across construction and started doing building and chippy work and all that kind of stuff, I'm a problem solver. So all that inbuilt, I can look at the big picture and try and think a process through of how best I might get that end result, And
is that a philosophy or a system of thinking to look at the end and then make it bite size?
Most people won't admit it, but there's many ways of doing something. There's a way of doing it that's dictated in a textbook, which you might follow and get something done that way. There's also other ways you can do by improvising with stuff. And as long as it meets your code, or it meets whatever the requirement is, or you get the end result, or it sends the pictures a kilometre, I don't see the problem in doing it your own way. That's my life philosophy. Just do it your own way.
Get it done, yeah. I think there's definitely an element when you go into something new with a previous background, you take a new type of thinking into it, and you can spot things that when you're caught in that building site and you've never seen anything else that you may not see. You come in from the outside, and then, why wouldn't you do it this way? And maybe we can learn off people like you who come in with that background as well.
I think there's an element of that. I've run a couple of businesses, and all that kind of stuff, and I'll look at some of the ways that some of the tradespeople I work with do stuff, and I'm like, keep my mouth shut, but I'm like, mate, you are wasting so much material. I can see 100 ways here that we could do this, and you're not actually have to spend all this money, or money just being... I spot money being leaked out of the way someone's doing stuff. I don't know why, I just do. So I watch people work. I'm just like, I could lean your business down in a day and you'd make a lot more bloody money than what you're pissing against the wall right now.
Is there any super common examples of that you can recall?
Efficiency with employees. So like I've seen a lot of tradies, not necessarily now the business I work with, but a lot of tradies putting someone onto a job to do that perhaps isn't the best person to be doing that. So someone cutting, like putting an apprentice on to do all the drop saw cuts to get all the sticks to build the frames, but he's going to make a few mistakes on those cuts. You've got to weigh up whether you put someone a bit more experienced on there who's going to do the cuts spot on, bang on, accurate, have them all stacked up, good to go in a quarter of the time with less mistakes, as opposed to putting on the cheap apprentice who's going to make a million mistakes and take 3 hours longer. And when you start building it, there's mistakes and it has a knock-on effect down the line. As I've said to someone, I don't think he's the right person that needs to be doing the cutting because he's not very good. Why don't you put the senior on, let him cut, and then you can teach the apprentice how to build a frame, because he's going to get more value watching that when it's all set up in half an hour, as opposed to us all waiting around for 3 hours for the cuts to be rectified.
And then if he actually has to install the end product, it probably helps with his cutting, right? Because then he knows
exactly. So you start at the front, you start at the back, and you work your way back. So he's got that information then to know what he's actually even building.
So your career has always been TV and business. Have you written your goals down? I mean, you knew from a fairly early age that you wanted to be in media in some form or fashion. Was it a thought? Did you write it down? Was it planned? How did it unfold?
No, it's just always been my just common goal is to work in TV. I really like creating stories or telling stories where I can really get people who wouldn't normally watch something and feel something. So if I can make someone feel something when they watch a documentary or a lifestyle series, they feel good, brilliant. If I want them to feel sad, I can make them cry, amazing. If I want them to feel good about themselves or shit about themselves if they're doing something I don't agree with, then I like doing that. So I've always gone down that path. I never thought I'd end up as a presenter, but now that's where 90% of my income's coming from, is being a TV host on these shows. So now I've had to readjust my goals a little bit. I wanted to be a provider of great documentaries and all that kind of stuff. I haven't made a documentary for 10 years. It's all lifestyle series now. So, I've got this business model where 1 TV show isn't going to work for me. 2 is getting close to break even. 3 is great, but I want 10. I want 10 small shows that are all on, dotted during the day, nothing big, nothing offensive, nothing that's too crazy, nothing prime time. If one of those shows falls off the perch, gets axed or doesn't get watched or people don't like it, doesn't matter, because there's all these other income sources as well with great quality weekend shows and lifestyle shows, which we can make and we can invent. And the power in having 10 shows and being able to put your own values across and your own messages and your own political, subtleties in all of those 10 shows is far greater, because 10 times 250,000 is a lot more than one show with just 900,000 people watching. So, I don't want to be in them all, by the way, but we want to make them,
It's a diversification philosophy to your business, which is I suppose, a smart move in any sort of business, right? So you don't want to present in all of them?
No, not really. I never wanted to be a presenter. I just came across it and, and I enjoy doing it. The work is great. The work is really great. You forget, though. You forget that it goes on TV because, you make it, you're immersed in it, you film it, you cut it, and then off it goes. And then to me, that's the job done. Like, we've made something to give to a TV station. You forget that it goes on telly and it's repeated and people watch it and they download it and they stream it. And then when they start, it took a year probably for me out of the 3 years I've been doing it to start getting kids come up to you and saying, "Oh, excuse me, mate, can I have a selfie?" Or can I, running at the airport and a woman comes and goes, "Where's Nugget?" like that, not how you go, where's Nugget, like that, or whatever it might be. That was really weird for me because I don't like it. Well, I like it. It's not that I don't like it. It's just weird that someone thinks that they know you enough to come up and stare at you or want a photo or tell you that they've watched your work and they enjoy it or they don't enjoy it. For someone to take their time to do that is it's an amazing privilege when you think about it, because someone's spending the time to sit down and watch the dribble you're making that goes on TV in a weekend, and for enough to come and say something to you, it's just really amazing.
With the work you do on camera, is there a lot of learning of lines, a lot of prep work? Because it seems that you've got different shows going on, you're hosting different shows, producing different shows, doing your carpentry apprenticeship. How do you remember where you are? How do you remember what you're doing today? In terms of remembering and getting present in each moment, is that a challenge?
Yeah, it really is. And you can ask Danny, my co-host, as well. We've really gotten our groove on now. So series 5, we can just run our eye over a script a couple of times and have a basic understanding of the key points that have to be said, and then the rest of it we do try and put into as much conversation as we can. Sometimes a script is so legally demanding you can't say a word wrong because it's been approved by 20 lawyers if it's something for a product which needs to be spoken about properly as part of the advertising codes. For example, we had Metamucil. Yeah, so Metamucil is a therapeutic goods, whatever it is, the TGA approved product.
Fibre supplement.
Yeah. So if you say something like, this product will help you feel better.
May help you.
Yes, it may help you.
Yeah.
And there's all these words which we're fed, which we don't know in advertising, that if you go back and say, well, it didn't help me at all, actually. And they go, it doesn't matter. We said could, would, maybe, might, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Otherwise, we just try and make it as conversational as we can. My brain has now been trained for being a complete sieve from having massive night outs in my 20s, drinking too much vodka, not being able to remember my PIN code, to remembering three pages of dialogue. It's amazing how you can train your brain.
And how have you trained that? Because I know for myself, when you get super busy and you tend to just get a little bit, or for myself anyway, I don't know if I speak for anyone else, but I can tend to get foggy and everything. So how do you do all those things and get that clarity? Is there a system behind it?
I'd love to say I eat peanuts and I concentrate and meditate and all this kind of stuff, but I don't. And I'll use the analogy back to my trade. My builder Dave can know every code. He'll go, oh no, it's over 1800, so we need 2 braces on there. I'm like, how do you remember that? How do you remember that it needs to be laminated in a triple LVL or whatever it might be? How do you remember that that's right? It's just years of training. It becomes like a second nature. It becomes like learning, because the thing is with TV is every camera angle, everything you do with your face, your hands, your body, your lips, when you lick your lips, when you blink, which way you hold your head means something to a viewer, because they're watching your body language, because they're not in front of you. They're heightened to every single thing that you do as part of the way we've evolved from monkeys. It's instinct. It's about reading code. It's about reading body language. So everything I do is read. So they'll know when I'm bullshitting, because I'll hold my hands in a funny way and they'll just go, this bloke's absolutely full of rubbish. He's got no idea what he's talking about. You've got to be believable and remember your script. And if you can connect those together, the believing in your product and believing in what you're saying, then you have success. Otherwise, you end up just a generic presenter that's reading an auto cue, has got no soul behind what they're saying, and that's definitely not who I am.
Do you bring your own views, ideas into the show? And I guess you need to make it happen, but what I mean is that if you have a product that you don't think is right, do you still run with it? Do you sift through those? How much of yourself can you put in from that element?
No, I won't put it on the show.
Just a blanket no.
Won't put it on the show, yeah. Okay. So I've had a product before which I knew was heavily funding the right-wing Christian movement, in Australian politics. And I said, absolutely no way. Sorry, mate, it's the wrong product for our show. It's not, and it was a crap product as well. But for me, it didn't sit right, didn't sit comfortably. The whole setup wasn't right. The product wasn't right for our show. And so and as it happened, the show had sold out, but I was nervous about that one.
So do you have a cap on sponsors you can have?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. I mean, we only have so much. We get 21 minutes and 30 seconds in a half an hour block. of TV time. Yeah.
You take too many and then there's not enough room for everyone.
Take that. Yeah. So, and then you get 3 5-minute segments and 1 2.5-minute segments, which are our sellable products for our show. So if a company listening to this wants to get their latest doors and windows featured on the show, well, we can do a nice 5-minute story about the latest, like Dell Thermaline doors and windows. Yeah. It stops the heat coming through inside. Their website crashed about 8 times because the amount of traffic our show sent to them.
Oh, is that right?
Big company, their website crashed. I was devastated. It's like, oh, sorry, not sorry, you know.
Yeah. Did they come back?
No, they didn't. But it did work for them, yeah.
Do you have a favourite documentary that you've made? I know you haven't made any for a few years, but that was the way I understand it, your real passion early on.
Yeah, I think I made this series of 6 documentaries on homelessness, and I spent the night out in the streets in Ballarat, where I was living at the time, to learn about what it meant to be homeless. And it broke my heart. Like, that whole thing broke me, and just to see what humans were doing to survive, and in this -2 temperature, and that started then a whole philanthropic side in me. So we started me and a friend in Ballarat a charity, and did a charity ball. That's evolved, still going, to have a fully decked out soup bus that goes and feeds homeless and hungry people in Ballarat. But yeah, probably one of the first or second documentaries I ever made, because it was so raw and genuine. I didn't know what we were doing, what we were going in for. It's probably one of my favourites. Another one was good fun about travelling to film a music documentary promo, which ended up on MTV, on a porn star who became a DJ. So I went and filmed this porn star behind the scenes at work.
Yeah.
And then got to travel LA, Montreal, then all around Australia while, you know, the tour was on and all the DJ gigs were happening around. That was something different, let me tell you that.
What's the doco called?
It's called the Pierre Fitch documentary.
What, sorry?
His name is Pierre Fitch,
oh, right,
like a French-Canadian bloke, and I think it's like 7 or 8 million YouTube hits now.
Oh, so it's available, you can go and
search it?
search
Oh yeah, you can just go and search it, yeah.
Oh, awesome. You have your own personal sponsors as well as show-related sponsors, is that right?
Yeah.
When and how did that come about? Because I'm noticing this trend in, I suppose there's a lot of more of the building, home, lifestyle, shows on TV now, that's starting to become a big part of a lot of these companies' advertising and stuff, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, look, I can't say, like, I still do not in any shape, fashion or form identify myself as a celebrity or as a, well-known face. I still don't feel that. I just don't feel it.
Yeah.
But it is useful, and this is speaking on behalf of a marketer, so as a person that's worked in marketing products and stuff all my life, it's useful to have a familiar face endorse your products if you've got it. So for example, what's his name? Keith, the foreman from the block at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy. He wouldn't no idea who I am, but I've met him a few times. He's now doing these steel frame TV commercials for these builders, right? This is the houses, because it's got brand integrity. Because someone who's on TV who is current is believable. So people watch them, they go, oh, it's familiar. So all of a sudden you're attaching your brand to something that is familiar, which people then disarm straight away. So if I come to you trying to sell that little widget you've got there and you've never seen it before, that microphone, and you're like, I don't know, I've never heard of this brand or whatever. But if I come to you with that microphone and say, look, here's Britney Spears holding the microphone in a photo, this is what she uses, you're like, oh, wow, it must be good then if it's at that level. So that's the brand integrity part of doing something. In this game, there's not a lot of role models in construction, in media, on TV, like role models for young blokes. Tradies are typecast with big bellies, checkered shirts, eating meat pies on a work site, being mean to the apprentice and just, being assholes. That's how the stereotyped,
Yeah.
It's a different world we live in now. Like, this generation is, as people know, is pretty soft, and this harsh kind of stuff is seen as bullying these days. So where are the role models for good guys who are working hard, who are wearing the work clothes which also cross over now into streetwear? Like, I've got Cork Workwear, one of my sponsors, amazing stuff. But I can wear that down the street or at a pub. people are starting to get onto that. They're not driving a banged up old ute. They're driving an $80,000 souped up Colorado, you know, or they're doing this, that, and the other. There's a real move. So where are those role models on TV for brands to associate with and for people to look up to and go, I want to be like him. That's who I want to be like, a nice guy. You know, there's not many of them.
And did these brands that you have, did they approach you?
Much the same as what you and I did. There's a bit of Instagram back and forth.
Right, okay.
You know, I call it Instagram flirting.
Yeah.
And then, you know, someone will send a message saying, thanks for that. Your stuff looks really cool, you know, and then it sort of happens like that. That's how it happens at the start. Now you just get requests through your management. So, for example, you know, you get your manager might say, oh, well, someone's approached you to be an ambassador for this, that, and the other. But I have a couple of personal ones and then, of course, millions with the show, but that's more about the show, not me.
Did you announce only just in the last couple of weeks with affiliation with Holden?
Yeah. Oh, mate, I'm so lucky. Hey, like they've given me a Colorado LTZ 4x4 to drive around until May.
Real bottom of the range sort of.
No, definitely not. No, it is amazing. And yeah, because I'm finding, you know, doing my apprenticeship and we're filming, there's always a car in the show. So we choose to put that car in the opening titles. We arrive at someone's house. We're constantly getting stuff out of it. So rather than blur the logo, you know, now we have a deal, a partnership with Holden, so they're on our show and they're an official partner of me and the show. So it's win-win for them. I'm really grateful. I mean, God, you know, a car to drive around in like that, which is all paid for.
Is there a risk in overdoing it, that aspect of it, do you think?
Yeah, of course there is. Yeah, of course there is. It's a real fine line. You know, like, I mean, at the moment, even though I'm just a tiny fish in a huge sea, you know, like I'm an ambassador for a men's skincare range.
Yeah, give us the rundown.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a again, like the rest of your life, pretty broad spectrum, right?
It is, isn't it? Yeah. So it's because, you know, so Real Bloke is a commercial, is a skincare range for men. Like it's a really proper, good face scrub. You know, it's a good smelling moisturizer because you work in this trade, your pores get full of crap. You got to clean them, otherwise you're going to end up looking like your old man by the time you're 20 years younger than him, you know. So I've got that. I've got Cork Workwear, which are a really cool workwear brand of shorts and shirts and whatever. So wearing them now,
right now,
yeah. And Steel Blue Boots. So, you know, we've gone into a partnership with them for work boots.
They sponsor quite a few people, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. And of course, Holden. Which is pretty good. And sometimes I get some gear of St. Goliath clothing, like a streetwear, just to wear as a host on the show as well.
Oh, okay. No, when you don't want that real trade.
Yeah, I don't want to be tradie all the time. Yeah.
And elements. Just a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up, and I'll let you get back to your day. But if you could fast forward 10 years and have it all done, what's Walt Collins achieved? Where are you at?
Oh, mate, probably laying on a sun lounger somewhere in Spain or something. No, I don't know. I reckon... you know, I've had a really busy life, a busy, big, hard working life. So I'd like to be in a position where I can maybe just, you know, take my foot off the accelerator for a little bit and let my things run themselves. You know, I want to have, you know, I guess, reached the peak of what I do and not fallen off the tree and in any sort of kind of disgrace. So, you know, hopefully... You know, honestly, I'm flying blind, mate. I've got no ground vision for what I want to be or what I want to do. I'm just letting the universe throw some stuff at me. You know, I've had a few crazy things happen to me this year, like best mate moved overseas, lost my beautiful cousin to brain cancer, went through a relationship breakdown, and all these like major life events that people normally get one or two of, you know, in 10 years hit within a couple of months. It's refocused, it's reshifted my focus. So a lot of the big stuff doesn't matter anymore. I'm just happy to be me, to pay my rent, to do what I love, to have the freedom to go and work on a building site, work in TV, host a TV show, and have enough money to go on a holiday.
So you've gone from a more focused sort of grand vision, if you like, to just trying to enjoy each day as it is and what you're doing.
And to be grateful for what I've already got. Because all my life I've wanted something, wanted to be the best at what I do, I wanted to achieve, I wanted to excel, I wanted to be better than everyone else at it. I kind of really don't care anymore. Like, you know, I've ticked off my dream of being a TV presenter. I've got a couple of TV shows, you know, all that kind of stuff. If nothing else happens and I just do this, that I'm cool with that. If great things happen, I'm also cool with that. But I'm not so hungry to like claw my way to the top, you know?
Is that do you think that is an age or event related change in your thinking?
A cleverly combined two of them. So, you know, watching my cousin die at 50 years old from a brain tumour, and this guy set up Elwood denim, Elwood t-shirts, you know, like he's Australia's massive clothing. Like he was Australian influencer for fashion, everything. Beautiful guy, beautiful wife, 2 kids. Watching him slip away when he's got the best of his life yet to come, and watching him work so hard just made me think, you know what, it could be me. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, so I just need to just focus on living each day with my dog, my best mate, making sure he has a great life while he's on this earth, and making sure I have a good life, and just slowing down a bit. It's all good, you know.
It's funny, through these conversations, there's a couple of things that almost always come up, and this is one of them, that realisation that I think we all have at some point in time. You're really not here for that long, are you? And you've got to make every day count in whatever terms that means to you.
Yeah, you really do. It's so cliche. And then, you know, if you've got a 20-year-old listening to this, they'll just go, bloody bullshit, you know. But really, the reality is, I mean, I'm, 37 now, and, you know, I'm halfway through potentially my life nearly, you know, and it's like, oh, shit, better stop and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any advice for that young man, woman who's just embarking on their career, who wants to make a real success of it? Anything they should do?
Create your own work. The days of stuff being handed to you on a silver platter, of you know, you're just going to be a pretty face on TV that's going to get hired because you look great, got no substance, they're gone. That's long gone. You know, you've got to be multi-skilled. You've got to be able to do everything. You've got to be able to hold yourself in all sorts of scenarios. You've got to be able to communicate. And ultimately, you've got to be good enough to make your own work. You know, don't be a follower, be a leader.
Developing your own following on social media is a big part of this world now. Do you do it all yourself, or do you have a team behind it? How does that work?
A team. It'd be amazing to have a team of people around it. No, as much as I'm on TV, we do not have teams of people behind us, you know. That's mainly come from the TV stuff. So, you know, we put our Instagram logos on the TV and people want to connect with you if they like you. You know, I just recently, you know, got 16,000 people. And that's not a lot in terms of influencers, but for me, that's massive. 16,000 people on Instagram and, you know, 12,000, whatever it is, on Facebook. It's a lot of people.
It's pretty crazy.
You know, and so you've got to be strategic with your hashtags. You've got to use engaging content and all that. And there's a bit of strategy around, you always do your hashtags in the you be the first person to comment on your photo, and to all the hashtags. So if I'm doing a day and I've built a frame, I'm taking a photo, you know, use Tradie, use Chippy Life, tag Carpentry Australia in there, you know, tag Makita Tools, whatever you're doing, tag, hashtag. And that's how you build a following.
And you said you need to be the first comment on your own photos?
Yeah. So you post a photo, and then you go to the comment button. Don't do it you can do it in the photo description, but there's evidence to say that the algorithms find the first comments photos more and quicker. And the other thing is, I write to every single person that writes to me. I will write back. If they send me shots of their boobs, of their dick, whatever, I'll write back and say, listen, thanks for taking the time to send me those. Or, you know, because you've got to take the time, because someone's taken the time out of their day to write to you and say, hey, you know, how you going? If you can answer them back and you make them feel great about what it is they're saying, or disengage them if they've been nasty, you know, just do it. I mean, they're the people that give you your work.
And here I was thinking I was being smart, messaging you and that, and you do it for everyone. So there you go. If you could have one law changed, what would it be?
One law changed. I think probably would be to get this stupid same-sex marriage law changed. I don't know why we're even talking about this as a nation. It is ridiculous that two people that love each other cannot get married if they want to. Christians did not invent marriage. People were getting married a long time before then, you know. So calm down, pipe down, and just let the government get on with it.
It's been in the press and media. And
people are sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of hearing about it, you know. Just get it done. There's no problems. No biggie. World's not going to end.
Yeah, and we can move on. Do you have any, apart from your own, favourite documentaries or books you can recommend?
Funny thing is, I'm not a big reader.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No, but
what about audiobooks?
I read my first book in 15 years when I was in India the other week.
Oh, wow.
It's called Tuesdays with Maury. And it was a book all about this bloke that's dying. And it was really timely, what I was talking about a minute ago about living every day. And this student goes and finds his tutor that's dying slowly from a terminal illness. And they reconnect, and he teaches him that you've got to learn to die before you can learn to live. And that's the key message there. So it's really pretty good. So that would be the book I'd choose. Documentary, oh mate, I'm just a sucker for wildlife. I could sit and watch David Attenborough all day. Just listen to the language he uses, the voice, the shots. It's amazing.
What's that? Is it Wild Planet?
Yeah.
Too? God, there's some good stuff on there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That you would have seen, everyone's seen the goanna and the
snake.
And the snake thing. Oh man, how do they do that?
Well, it's real. You know, like it's not CGI. They just have to spend days researching, months or years researching locations, set up various cameras at high speed. Sometimes they'll set up elaborate sets. For example, for film spiders in trapdoors and stuff, they're not digging out of. They'll do it in a tank in a studio, or go to a zoo and get shots and things. A lot of it's, at the end of the day, it's entertainment. TV is not real.
Yeah.
People forget that. Like we fake stuff, we cheat stuff, because ultimately it's entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Not really. I just think I just think, really just to thank anyone that's ever, come across little old me on telly or whatever it might be, social media, and people think that you don't notice, but you do. I've had people on Instagram like me from, give like a photo, for example, from the first couple of weeks, and they're still there, and they'll comment on a photo and they'll like it, and that doesn't go unnoticed. So just big thanks really to people that would know who I am.
Gives you confidence to keep doing what you're doing and push on with a bit more enthusiasm and that. Awesome. Well, look, I'm going to let you get back to your day. If someone wants to contact you, Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram. Or go to website is waltcollins.com.au. So there's all regular updates and clips on there and all that kind of stuff. So
blog stuff, and you post a lot of content on there too. I was pretty surprised at your output. It's impressive.
Slowed down a bit now. I probably need to get back onto it.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for carving a bit of time. Hey everybody, it's Matt again. Thanks for listening. Just a couple of things before you guys clock off. You can get all Trench Talk episodes at xrm.com.au/podcast. You can also sign up for other goodies at the same site. Just plonk your email in there and you are covered. That's X for X-ray, R for Romeo, M for Mike.com.au/podcast. If you really like what I'm bringing you, please head to iTunes, subscribe to this show, and leave a review right there. And lastly, if you want to contact me directly, type the @ symbol followed by Mr. Matt Reynolds into your search bar and you'll find all the social links. Goodbye.